That's right. I'm such a lucky girl. I have the best guest today for you, and I mean, that means you're lucky too. So thank you for being here once again. I'm not tired of repeating it. I know there's so much choice today, so we appreciate you being here, but I understand. Because, please everyone, welcome with me together my fantastic interview guest is the Chief Sales Officer at the Accor Group, Sophie Hulgard. Please join me on stage.
Hello, Leah.
Hello.
So do you say this about the best guest to all your guests?
No, you are the very best guest.
Okay. Okay, good then.
And she is the best dressed guest with the blue jacket.
It's a lucky color.
Yes, and we have a little anecdote. It's the reason she wears it is because we had a promotional image, and she was wearing the jacket on that picture. So that's perfectionism. I love it. So that's a good start. A very warm welcome, Sophie,
Thank you.
on the ITB Berlin Convention 2024 stage. It's
you.
an honor to have you. I think everyone in the room knows about Accor, but allow me a few words just to set the scene so we really know about what we're looking at here. So Accor Group is a world-leading hospitality group, as we all know, and it's the largest hospitality company in Europe and the sixth largest in the world. So it's not a small entity we're looking at here.
No.
And also, if I look at the portfolio of brands, it's 45 brands.
Oh, yes.
You know them all by heart?
Of course.
Of course.
Don't test me.
No, I'm not going to test you. But as you see, that's quite some numbers, and then I add some numbers because it's more than 110 countries, it's 5,600 properties, and 10,000 food and beverage venues. And not only that, you have wellness facilities, flexible workspaces, and also in terms of brands, it's not only like luxury or like Midscale, you have everything. You even have lifestyle brands, and now
Yes.
you even have a lifestyle platform, like entire entity, and it's more.
Yes, that's right.
Including 25 hours, etc. So everyone, if you want to learn more about Accor, they're here in Hall 9, and it's very interesting. It's a whole universe, the
Yes.
Accor universe. So I'm honored. So, but now let's get to it. To start off, let's get to know each other better. So tell me, who is Sophie Hulgard? Tell me about your background and about your journey. How was it until today?
Sure. So I'm a French person with a Danish name. I'm French, but I lived 20 years in Denmark, hence the Danish name, coming from a Danish husband, which I'm not married to anymore. I worked all my life in the travel industry. I started in Amadeus for a few years, then I met a Danish guy. I went to Denmark, started working in the online travel agency world. Did that for a few years. I got divorced after having a son, a complicated life story. But I really followed my heart, you know, all the way. So that's how it worked. Went back to Paris, working for CWT. I was managing director of CWT in Denmark, got transferred to Paris, managed our global accounts, and then moved to Accor. I've been working for Accor for 4 years. And I'm based from our Paris office.
Right.
So,
Okay.
very shortly.
Quite a journey,
life story.
though. Yeah. And you followed your heart, and now you're a heartist.
Yes, I'm
Right.
a artist. That's how we call our Accor employees. We made up this word. It's a great word. A heartist. So it's an artist with a heart, right?
I love that. So you mentioned it yourself, that you were just promoted from a regional to a global role. There was a change, right? And then also there was a lot of changes within Accor, structural ones. I don't know much about the details,
Yes.
but I know there's a lot going on, not only then inside of the company, but also outside. I mean, if you look at geopolitical complex backdrop, we have challenges in the economy, a lot of changes post-pandemic. There's a shift in consumer behavior, obviously. Nonetheless, if you look at the yearly results of Accor, they're record high in 2023. Accor had EBITDA breaking the 1 billion mark for the first time in history. So despite all the challenges out there, there's such a performance. To me, that doesn't sum up. Can you fill us in? How did that work?
I think it's because of the changes that it happened.
Right.
You know, so we finally reached that 1 billion euro EBITDA mark. That was a very important milestone for Accor. And it's the result of not only the latest changes, for those of you who know us, we tend to transform quite often, but it's the result of 10 years of transformation. And
Wow.
I think it makes sense to have reached it now. So, you know, in these 10 years, a lot of things happened. We became more global, for example. You know, we went from 26% to 61% of non-Europe business volume. We became more luxury and lifestyle. We now have almost 33, we went from 11% to 33% of our revenues coming from luxury and lifestyle hotels, so that's quite a mark. We became, as you said, more brand diverse. 10 years ago, we had 15 brands. We have 45 brands today. So, and as I said, please don't ask me to name them all, but that ranges from the one-star hotel almost to, very luxury properties. And as you can imagine, that gives a lot of competitive advantages as well. We became more digital. We launched our all platform, Accor Live Limitless member platform, with discounts and experiences.
Is it the loyalty?
The loyalty platform.
Right, okay. Yeah, we dive into that later as well.
We're going to that later. And finally, we became, and that's a really important point, we became more sustainable. So Accor is really trying to lead the way when it comes to sustainability. I think we're going to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, of course. I have some topics.
So that happened during 10 years. And then last year was another culmination where we separated the company into two divisions. That's what you were talking about. So the luxury and lifestyle, almost a tailor-made hospitality with focus on beautiful brands like Orient Express and Raffles and Fairmont, Sofitel, the luxury brands, and the lifestyle, any small group with brands very well known in Germany, among others like 25 Hours, Mondrian, the Hoxton.
Yes, yeah,
exactly.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it's a beautiful brand.
And then the other division with the majority of the hotels in Accor, called Premium, Midscale, and Economy, or PME. And these, are really here. We're focusing on delivering an excellent service on legacy brands like Ibis, Novotel, Mercure, Pullman, Swissôtel, and so on. So yeah, this has allowed us, to put the focus where we wanted it to be. So running an efficient operation on one side and focusing on very luxury hotels on the other.
Yeah, it obviously worked. I mean, numbers don't lie, right? What can I say?
Obviously it works.
Yeah, congratulations. That sounds like a successful year. And what would you say? Of course, it's such a big company, and you said there was a transformation. So obviously, you have an overall strategy as well. So would you say this also aligns well with the overall company's strategic goals? And could you maybe name some of them? So what's on the
I guess, our growth, because you're talking about growth, so we're the 6th largest hospitality group in the world, but we're also 300,000 people who want to make an impact, an impact on society, of course, but an impact on the planet, an impact on our people, our guests, our owners. So we're here to grow in a sustainable way, and I think it's the only way to grow. If you think about it, sustainable means a business that lasts in time, and who doesn't want a business that lasts in time? So we're doing the right things to make it happen, and I think this growth very well, responds to what we've been trying to do in terms, among other things, of sustainability.
Right, yeah, you mentioned sustainability now, and it's a segue into the next question, because obviously sustainability is a high priority for Accor, as for many enterprises today. So could you share with us, because that's always curious, we talk about it, but then you want to have some concrete examples, or you want to understand how do we really approach this? Can you explain how does Accor really approach this, and do you have some examples to how to reach your ESG objectives?
Sure. So I think ESG is good for everyone, and that's why we need to get there. And there are several ways to approach it. There's a way where you have to get there because of regulations. For example, in Europe, we have the regulations that force us to move forward with all the sustainability actions. So we're taking actions because of that. And we're also taking actions because we think it's the right thing to do. So as a citizen of the planet, I would say, using big words, but on purpose. We want to do the right thing, so we have to do things. And then there's the other side with the clients. Our clients need us to develop sustainability actions. Why? Because they need us, their Scope 3 emission provider, to lower the emissions for their Scope 1 and 2. So our Scope 1 and 2 is their Scope 3, and we need to do something.
Right, yes.
Because if we don't, we let them down. And I would say if we don't, we also lose business. Because the way it's going today, for example, corporate clients in RFPs, they're almost all asking about what we're doing in terms of sustainability. And very soon, it hasn't started yet, but I would give it a year or two, and clients will choose someone else if we do not respond to that sustainability must. Why? Because they need to report in their non-financial reporting, they need to show a progress, and the progress comes with us as well. So we don't want to let them down. So we're leading the way, and our sustainability strategy is built around 3 poles. The first one is stay, obviously, so it has to do with our operations, it has to do with the way we build the new hotels, but very much also the way we audit the hotels that we have. So we have, for example, made an agreement with Green Key and Green Globe, external auditors, who are going to certify that our hotels are behaving in the right way. And we want to have all our hotels certified by the end of 2026. So
That's
we're really
many
rushing.
hotels. Let me check back the numbers. That was quite many. So
It's tomorrow for 5,500 properties. So
Wow.
that's a big work, but I must say all hotels are doing a fantastic work at working with these companies to make it happen. So that's really good. The second one is eat, an important one. Eat is about sourcing responsibly. It's about reducing food waste. It's about also offering a different kind of F&B in our hotels. For example, less meat. You know, so we're going a long way with this eat item. And the last one is explore, because explore is about people staying in the hotels, and it's about them feeling a connection to nature, a connection to the communities. You know, so we're doing a lot of activities and actions around this explore thing.
Right.
So we have very ambitious targets. We want to be carbon neutral by 2050. By then, in 2030, we need to have reduced our scope 1 and 2 emissions by 46%. So we have established some very ambitious targets that our Chief Sustainability Officer, Brune Poisson, is
she's
leading.
wonderful. Yeah, I've seen her as well. Yeah,
You've seen her as well. Yes, she's really great. So we have to get there, and we have to get there because it's also a competitive and reputational advantage. So, there are a lot of advantages in doing the right thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's part of the business now, right? So it's not
No,
a side
exactly.
project anymore. So it's the core. That's very good. Yeah, sounds very interesting. Keen to see if we meet all the objectives. So I invite you back
Yes.
then, and then we talk about
Let's talk
it.
again in 2050.
Exactly. So 2050, we have a date here on stage. No,
Yes.
and yeah, you mentioned it earlier. You mentioned it briefly. The all platform and then
Yes,
loyalty.
loyalty.
And I mean, loyalty is an evergreen topic, right? So here at the marketing distribution track, if I would put loyalty into the headlines of all the sessions, I think any company in our industry is currently looking into and has been looking how to leverage loyalty. It's really important to our industry, and we really try to excel at that. And why is that? What do you think? Why is especially, I mean, is hospitality in particular, right, is very keen to be very good at loyalty, and they're always working on that. Why is that? Do you have
Very keen.
Yeah, very.
Our distribution is complicated in the hotel industry. I'm sure if there are hoteliers here, you all agree. So it's really important to have this direct connection with your travelers and with your guests. And we say something in Accor. We say that loyal members stay more, pay more, and say more.
Right.
That means that they're going to stay longer, and we have figures showing this. They're going to use more money within the hotel, using the F&Bs and the restaurants and so on. And they're going to talk about their experience if they have a good experience. And I think the if is probably what makes the big difference, because it's all about recognition. I'm sure you all want to be recognized when you arrive somewhere, and this is the part that we must not miss at Accor. So it starts with a member, but very much on the operational side. It's about making this member recognized in the way that we appreciate the business that they're giving us, and in the way that these members need to come again and again, So loyalty is extremely important, and it also pushes our direct channels, and this is what every hotelier also wants, help those direct channels to become more powerful within the distribution.
Right, yeah, and that's a very good segue into my next question, because your title gives it away. You're a Chief Sales Officer, so you are in the field of sales.
Yes.
And I mean, we've heard that quite sometimes on industry panels, sales is dead. So everything moved to the digital world. We are e-commerce, digital now. It's like all about distribution. So you have you have more like commercial roles, etc. So would you say it's a fair statement that sales is dead? And what's your take on sales in general? I think we're very keen to hear about that.
So sales is dead. Look at how many people were in this room, and we're all in a kind of sales environment. On our booth during these 3 days, we're organizing 176 meetings with clients. We have a team of 50 Accor people on the booth, 176 meetings. Sales is not dead. And the digitalization of sales, of course, it's important, but the one-to-one, face-to-face contact, oh my God, that's never going to disappear. And that's why we need to be here. You know, that's why clients are coming to the Accor booth, and I'm sure to all of your booths, to meet people. And you know, the more we work remotely, the more we're hiding behind a screen, the more we need to meet. And that's also a trend we're seeing, that, you know, meetings and events is also catching up very fast. It's the same trend, you know, this need to meet. So digitalization, yes, for everything that has to do with the back office, and I'm a big fan of the CRM usage, the correct usage of the CRM. I keep telling my teams, but that's it. The rest, you need to get out there and meet with clients. So.
Well, I love it.
Yes.
I'm up for it.
I can tell.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, thank you for that. And then we talked about this briefly earlier, that there's a lot of changes. We had this in the session before as well. I'd like to collect your thoughts as well. Is there any trends or shifts you're seeing in consumer behavior that you find are standing out, that you think is worth mentioning or we should look after?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the world is changing, the way people travel is changing, and there are some macro trends that we can look at. You know, first one is sustainability. That's not going to be a surprise. You know, we're talking about it all the time. But the truth is that people are changing the way they travel in order to make it more sustainable. It can be staycation, so you travel closer to home. Mm-hmm. But it can also be, you know, traveling in an environment, so in a green hotel, for example, or in a way with transportation being greener. You know, that is going to make a difference and an impact on the planet. There's also experiential travel. People want to live something. You know, I don't know if you heard about the concerts of Taylor Swift in Australia.
Yeah, the
She
news
filled the whole country, you know, with tourists and people who wanted to come to the concerts. And that's exactly what people want to travel for an experience, you know, for living something different. So I think that's also going to be a macro trend. Maybe a last one, inclusive travel. We're seeing that more and more. So instead of just traveling to observe what's happening in a country, what's happening in a community, you want to be a part of it. So you want to live in a family. You want to live in a closed group of people doing something in particular. You want to be a part of it. So that sense of belonging is also showing very strongly in those macro trends.
Yeah,
so
very
I think
interesting.
we can count on that.
Yeah, we will. And yeah, now I have like a very high-level question for you, but it's like the future of global hospitality. I mean, you are in the industry for so long now. Well, how do you picture? Tell us, how is the future of hospitality looking like? Can you paint a picture?
Of course. So, you know, our CEO just said recently in an interview, Sébastien Bazin said, "Oh my God, I was so wrong about business travel." Do you remember when people predicted that business travel would never come back, that it would remain 30, 40% under the levels of 2019? Very serious people, very credible people really thought it would never come back, and we're back. We can see it in our hotels. Business travelers are back. Our figures are exploding on the business travel side. So that's the very good news, and that shows how much travel is resilient, and that it will probably, you know, never die. And on the leisure side, people are saying that travel is the most essential of the non-essential need that they have. So they will maybe save money on other things, but they will keep the budget for traveling. And we see more and more travelers doing that. So I don't think, you know, I think it's looking very good. We just issued a report with 8,000 European travelers saying that they would spend more money in 24 than they did in 23 on travel. So we're very positive.
Yeah,
It's difficult not
that's
to be optimistic.
Yeah, and interesting numbers given the current situation, right?
Yes.
Economic distress. So that's very optimistic note.
But you know, maybe it is because of
Maybe,
those
to balance.
geopolitical issues that people want to escape and they want
Right.
to live something and they want to do it now. It could be because of that. So
Right. Well,
it's all linked.
it's a good thing, so we take that.
It's a good thing.
It's
Yes.
a good thing.
Yes.
So we're almost out of time. And as we did it in the session before, are you up for some fire rapid questions to close this off?
Okay.
Yes? Okay. I ask you the same question because I think it's always interesting. Everyone answers this differently. What is the best advice you ever got?
So it's probably one I never followed from my father, who said to me, keep a low profile at work. I should have listened more, but I don't think.
Why do you think?
I think, you know, you need to show who you are, you need to follow your skills, your instinct, and don't keep a low profile, rock the boat. That's why I'm telling my teams, you know, rock the boat, just go out there and do it.
Well, they're doing that for the next days, I'm sure. So, yeah. And then what brings you uncorrupted happiness? Is there one thing that we can note down that's making you really happy?
Yes, it's a walk in the mountains. I'm a mountain girl.
Right.
So a walk in the mountains with my partner and my dogs, you know, that's going to make me happy for a long time. And if you add my son on top of that, perfect.
Right, so we noted that down for the CRM. Okay, and maybe from a sales perspective, what is the most unusual or memorable sales pitch that you've ever heard from any of your team members or in your sales career? Is there one that you can think of, or you?
You know, you sent me this question and I've been thinking about it. And in fact, I don't have one experience, but I do notice all the time people who have this sales gene inside of them.
Right.
And I can get impressed by a person in a shop just trying to sell me a pair of jeans.
Right.
And you know, they all have the same pattern. So they would be generally interested in you. You know how people don't care about you anymore, right? But if somebody looks at you and shows a genuine interest, it's going to stop you, and you're forced to listen. And then asking questions, and instinctively, because they haven't learned this, but instinctively trying to find your pain point. For me, it would be my butt. For a pair of jeans, you know, because it needs to look good.
Yeah.
They find your pain point, and they're trying to find a solution to your pain. And that is sales. Asking questions, finding where there could be a fit for the offer that you have in an elegant way, not in a pushy way, and then just closing the sale. And I see that, you know, from time to time. And I feel so happy because this is what sales is about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can imagine your team is probably wonderful because you scout these people and then they get even better when they're in your team because they get the hard skills on top.
Yes.
So, yeah. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. We are out of time. I see the 00, so that's serious. So thank you so much for joining me on stage. It was a pleasure. I could continue to talk to you for forever, but we can't. So thank you. Everyone, Chief Sales Officer at Accor Group, Sophie Hulgard. Thank you so much. And I say back to Katie. Thank you.